chai and chat. So you get yourself a chai or a tea or a coffee or some water and get comfortable, and let's talk about showing up for yourself and showing up for your dreams. So today, that is what I felt called to share about. I was writing some bullet points yesterday and it was coming very fluidly, and it was motivating myself at the same time, because I think we all need these reminders every now and then of how important and necessary it is to not only chase our dreams but have the strength and courage to do so without fear, without judgment, to really step outside your comfort zone and try something new, whether that be a new career, a new skill, a new hobby, or something you've wanted to do for as long as you can remember. So if you see me looking here, I've got my laptop with my notes that I'm wanting to talk about, because otherwise I know myself, I will just go off in a big tangent in the wrong direction. So yes, here we go. I feel so often as humans we kind of get this little call within ourselves or even externally, like, wow, I really want to do this one thing, or like, I've wanted to do this one thing for so long, and then almost in the same breath you just completely write it off, like, no, I could never do that, or I'm not good enough to do that, or oh, that's going to take so much time, or I'm far too old to do that, I don't have what I need to do that. And it's really sad we don't even really begin to even attempt it. Now obviously there is a few reasons why this happens, but I think the number one thing undoubtedly is fear. Fear, mostly of what other people might think, fear of failure, and even worse, the two of those things combined. What will other people think if I fail? There is a good old cliche saying, but for a reason, about failure: there is no failure, there is only lessons. And it's so true. If you're doing something you love and you're on that path of least resistance because you are so into doing that with all of your being and your heart, and you're feeling really called to do it, then it doesn't really matter if you fail. It's never a failure, because you're learning so much about yourself and the world and that which you are working towards in the process. And so what if you fail anyway? Just try again. I remember I always used to listen to Gary V. I used to listen to his podcasts and YouTube videos a few years ago now, when I was really into like the entrepreneurial side of things here, online and on YouTube, and he just said, just try again. Just try again and again and again. There is no time limit when you are on the road to your dreams, and I think that's just so beautiful. And if it is something you really want to do, then it doesn't really matter how long it takes. One of the most common answers that people give if they are on their deathbed: what do they regret from their life? They regret mostly not living a life true to themselves, but rather living a life according to the expectation of others. And that is heavy. Living a life according to what other people expected of them, rather than that which they really want to do deep inside. And life is short. I, as someone who is into philosophy and yoga, I do ponder about death quite a lot. Not in a somber sense. I think it's a terrifically liberating thought, life is so short, we need to really make the most of it. Anything could happen to us at literally any moment, quite literally, so why on earth would you not want to do that which lights you up and really sets your soul on fire? I honestly think, like, it's so cliche but so true, life is far too short to not do that thing. Do the thing. I think far too often we are attached to the person that we are, the stories that make us who we are today. Perhaps we're too attached to the idea of the person we are according to other people and the person we're supposed to be. But I think it's so important, and especially in this day and age, we need to embrace change, and in fact we need to normalize it. It's okay to change your mind on your life path. I mean, it's okay to change your mind about anything in any moment. We just need to practice acceptance towards anyone or ourselves if we are wanting to have a change in our lives, or try something new, or go in a different direction, and just be compassionate towards ourselves and others, especially when they have the courage to do so. So if you are feeling called to go in another direction, to try something new, a new project, a new career change, then literally, what are you waiting for? Now is the time. Because, as they say in India, why not? People ask you, why do you want to do that? Why not? Literally, what have you got to lose? I grew up playing quite a few PlayStation games, and I think it is a beautiful metaphor for life. So think of Life is a PlayStation game. You know, you pass all the levels on level 1, then you beat the big boss and move into the next stage or phase of it all. Okay, so stay with me, and then once we have finished the first level of life, we pass the boss mode, which is usually kind of a critical moment in our life. Or maybe we've gone through something difficult and then we get past that and then we kind of reassess. Okay, so now this is what I want to do. So we're moving on to the next level. And when we are, moving on to that next stage, I feel like perhaps it is easy to not listen to the intuition and reassess and go on to the next phase. It's really comfortable to live in our little lives down here on level 1 where we know everyone, we're really comfortable, there's not so much difficulties, everything's going pretty well, but we're just feeling okay. Does it still light us up anymore? Or do we need to listen to the intuition and then find the secret passageway to level 2, which is wow, a whole new world of opportunity, a whole new world in general, exciting stuff, scary stuff. But I say this often on my channel, freedom lingers at the edge of your fear. It's so exciting to jump into the unknown, to just give it a go, to try new things, try whatever it is that you want to do. Until, of course, we finish that level and again, until we continue to reach our fullest potential or continue to grow and learn and love and live. I think so often we get caught in the underworld of that which we know and that which is comfortable without realizing, wow, there's all these other things going on out there. I just think this is a really nice way to think about life. It's so easy to not go on to that next level when in fact it's exactly what we need to do. Of course, that's not to say exactly where we are right now is not exactly where we are supposed to be, because that is also indeed true, but you just need to build that strength inside of you and take that leap into the unknown, and it does get easier every single time. It's just the initial get up and go that might be a little bit more difficult, but on the other side of that, that's where the good stuff is. Of course, I understand there are practical things that might stop us from showing up for ourselves and showing up for our dreams. I understand people have kids, they have a mortgage, they might be in debt. Some people might even think they're too old to chase their dreams or too young to do this one thing. However, firstly, we should never put an age limit on our dreams. Secondly, we have to remember it's not how fast we're going towards our dreams. We're not trying to just get instant success overnight or find that fulfillment overnight. That might not even happen anyway, but rather focus on the direction you're going in and not the speed. So you have to sit down and make a plan. Where are you now? Where is it that you want to be? And what are the actionable steps you have to take that's going to get you from A to B? We have to work with what we have and work when we can. Perhaps something might be out of our price range we need in order to actually do that thing. So okay, you have to save to get there. So perhaps you work a full-time job, maybe you've got kids, you have to really just work around these things and do it when you can instead of watching YouTube, instead of watching, your show in the evenings, instead of going out with friends. You just have to make some sacrifices. If you really, really want to work on this thing, you will find the time to do that. I was reading Big Magic, which is the most beautiful book. I've read it twice in the last year. Elizabeth Gilbert is a genius. She liked working on your craft, working on your passion, what you love and what lights you up in your spare time, equivalent to an affair. I know it's not the best comparison, but it's just came to my mind right now, and it is quite literal. People who are having an affair, they make the time, no matter what's happening in their world, they will make the time to go meet this person. And so you really have to just make the time. Do that one thing you really want to do, to work on your side hustle, to just create for the sake of create, or just enjoy doing it when you can. Whether that be 5 minutes a day, whether that be 1 hour a day, whether that be half an hour on your lunch break. I think that's just really beautiful, making the time, not having the added pressure of how much you have to do it for, but just doing it when you can. The other beautiful thing to remember when doing this is to be in it for the long haul. As I said, we should not expect instant success overnight, but rather we have to enjoy the journey and not the destination. You have to really vow to yourself to work on this when you can and just keep working on it. Keep working on it, whether you fail, whether you have to keep trying, whether that takes 2 years, whether that takes 5 years, that could take 10 years, but meanwhile, you're working at your craft, perfecting your craft, living a life of passion, like working towards something that you love so much. None of that time is ever wasted, ever. And I think that is really important as well. We must not judge ourselves by how much we've failed or how much success we have, but rather the moments of fulfillment and joy and presence of that which we are working on and creating. Everything is happening basically exactly how it's supposed to. You have to believe in the bigger picture and trust yourself and trust the universe. Of course, it's important to balance the masculine and feminine energy. So the feminine energy is the manifestation, the dreams, the goals, the feeling good, and then the masculine energy is actually physically doing those things and working towards them. And of course the masculine and feminine energies are always working together, creating the life we live, so finding the balance between the two. Because if you're not taking any actionable steps at all, of course nothing's going to happen. And then if you're only working, you get completely carried away and you're not present and you're not enjoying and you're not making the most of your life. And I think this is what happens a lot in today's day and age. We find ourselves going to school and then going to university, and then all of a sudden we have families and kids and we've got this dream job that we actually never ever wanted because we didn't take a break and take a breath to actually reassess and figure it out what we actually want. And then that is when we feel this thing inside of us calling, that thing we've always wanted to do. So yeah, taking the space and time to figure it out. I mean, perhaps you already know exactly what that is. Perhaps it has been in the back of your mind for a while now. Hello, do it, I'm still here, waiting. The other week I watched the J.K. Rowling documentary. It's not actually a documentary, it's more a movie based on her life with very little details. However, I found out that she did not get published until she was 31. She had a pretty crazy life leading up to that, and while she was writing the good chunk or finishing off the first book of Harry Potter, she had a baby first of all. She was on the dole, which is like government support or the benefit, whatever you call it in your country. However, she was in a coffee shop with her baby, writing away every single day because she couldn't get a job and look after her baby, and she couldn't afford child support, or she couldn't afford a nanny or someone to come look after her baby being on the benefit. So that was really, really interesting, and I think that just shows there's absolutely no time limit to that which you're wanting to work towards. You want to write a book, it can take 10 years. I think there's so many little stories like that of people getting published in their 50s and they've been a writer their whole life. And that's what Elizabeth Gilbert says again in Big Magic. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Like, you vow to yourself that this is what you're going to work on. Like, be dedicated to your art, be dedicated to the hobby that you really love or that you wanted to do for so long. It doesn't even matter about anything else, because the absolute joy and presence that you get from doing that one thing is like, that's what it's all about. Again, in this day and age, we are often judged by our productivity from ourselves and from others, but like, we should really be judging ourselves with absolute presence. And if we're so into that one thing that we're doing, it doesn't matter what you get out of it, because like, when I'm painting, I am so present, I think of nothing else, and it's just like my happiest place in the world. It's just like my yoga mat, being on my yoga mat. Perhaps the most important thing, that you shouldn't also expect to get anything out of it. Make that vow to yourself that you're going to love this thing, cherish this thing, work on this thing no matter what, enjoy this thing regardless of all the ups and downs and the processes and whatever happens, but dedicate yourself to it, regardless and despite anything and everything. I think another good example is like being in debt. So I lived by myself since I was 15 years old, and I was going to school and working at the same time, paying bills, and at the same time I was partying a lot. I got into thousands and thousands of dollars of debt, and then it came to the time where I kind of grew up a little bit and I really, really wanted to go traveling. And I thought, oh my god, I can never go traveling. I have to pay my rent, I can't even afford to pay all my bills, like how am I going to also go traveling? And so my partner at the time really helped me, which was great. He helped me to budget. Wow, that was a new concept at the time. And over the next 3 years I paid off all of my debt. Wow, I can't even to this day still believe I did that. To have that kind of freedom to then go traveling without having bills to pay weekly. What? Yeah, so I worked, I didn't go out for like 2-3 years, worked. I didn't have a social life at the time. Like my really good girlfriends understood completely, but like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be going out drinking and enjoying and shopping and doing all of the things whilst simultaneously working hard to achieve something, you know, or spending money frivolously, squandering it on silly things. So again, it's coming back to making those small actionable steps of working towards that one thing, no matter how long it takes. Like I understood completely, like okay, it's going to take me a few years to actually pay off those bills, but I got there in the end, and I can't even tell you the amount of just pure joy I felt to finally pay that off. It just felt incredible. And then getting outside your comfort zone and doing these things, working towards these things, just really helps a lot in growing your confidence and growing your self-worth of knowing that you're capable of doing more and more things. Okay, so it stopped recording and I didn't realise, so I had no idea what I was up to when it stopped recording. But I think this is my cue and reminder I have been talking long enough, so I'm going to end the video here. I just wanted to make one last point, which was it's really important to not put the creative stress and financial stress on ourselves whilst also working towards that thing that we love, or doing that thing that we love. It can so easily turn from a hobby and a passion and something we really adore to something that causes us stress because we expect to make a living from it. So just keeping it as a passion, and then having a normal job or a job alongside that which you're working on, a little side hustle, is really an incredible thing as well. It's very liberating. It allows that freedom because it takes the pressure off us a lot. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now, but I definitely recommend you read Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic. It's really, really inspiring, no matter what your creative pursuit is, or no matter what you're working on in an entrepreneurial sense, or just because you love it. So yeah, it's a really, really great read. As I said, I've read it twice in the last year. If you enjoyed this video, you got this far, so please give it a thumbs up for me. It helps a lot. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I'm really enjoying these chai and chat series. It gives me a little break from vlogging, and I really love this kind of content because it motivates and inspires me and reminds me myself because this is also what I need to hear. So thank you for being here. Sending you lots of love from Goa. Om Namah Shivaya.